was a time to think, who are South Africans excited about, right? And no.
Yeah.
Is there among any of the political parties somebody that if they called leaders of
feeling of sensible, centrist, thoughtful politics, right? Which I think for a while the ANC to occupy and define and root itself in. We obviously have the emergence of political party that has anchored itself around being thoughtful, about being evidence-based and evidence-led in its policy formulations around listening to people and waiting for us. How do we create a group of South African citizens again, but make them believe in the potential for a sensible, thoughtful politics to deliver?
So, body.
Yeah.
The challenge that we have as a country. And so when you think about the most important thing that needs to happen, I go back to where we started with Rise Mzansi and so on, and to say what we need to restore things right, that you don't just engage in cheap populism. You use radical changes in the lives of South Africa.
So the Helen, and I was going to get to the Helen issue, but I'm glad you raised it because I wasn't sure how to. But Helen is a symptom of a broader problem. Johannesburg, and the response is a symptom of a broader problem, right? The problem being we have fundamentally lost belief in collective movements.
Effectively, a couple of things. There is no single political party that can turn the country around on its own.
Yeah.
Even theft and the kind of problems, I won't name them.
Yes.
Unless you push me.
I might.
Yeah, but the point is, even if you combined all the political parties, and we can talk about that, you combined a group of political parties, the best talent still sits outside them. The role of political parties that we need to evolve as South Africans of good intention, of talent and ability can gravitate towards, so that we can make the changes in the country that South Africans want and deserve. So as possible, because South African advantage of the frustration of South Africans. And say, instead of fixing the immigration system that is broken in the country, we are going to choose to be a people who say a woman who's having a difficult birth, one who needing to save her life and the life of the baby, must die at the gate together with the baby. And no ambulance must come and pick them up because they are a foreigner. Because this politics is turning us into something worse than animals, because we've got a failure of leadership where political parties and politicians want to weaponize the suffering of South Africans and their frustrations in order to say they're driving change. But they're turning us into a cruel society. I'm not saying we don't have an immigration problem, but you get what be employed as middle. So how do you undo this mess? You undo this mess by bringing people of talent back into society so that you can have real solutions instead of weaponizing the pain that South Africans are feeling.
That's a powerful point, because it's not just that the political assumed, or do we seek to assume in bringing some coherence to that space and being able to absorb some of the shifts that the ANC's ultimate demise and the vacuum that the ANC's ultimate demise leaves
members of the public, because with Steve Swartz from ACTP plays that role as well, because you can't have one person doing it and a couple of others. So there is that belief that this young that level of coordination. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, I chair the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. Not even the president has the power to call to account at a letter. Ministers, mayors, MECs, the works, right? As far as public spending is concerned, which means the state is also vast in the committee. Because at the end of the day, the people have got to put up their hands and agree with what you are suggesting. Right? Otherwise, they've got no obligation. If they don't respect you, they're not going to do it. So that's the second. The third one is that we have been in discussions with other political parties to the point I was making earlier to say, guys, this is not about ourselves. We need to work together here.
Yeah.
If we all think parochially, and there must be like 16 political parties in South Africa fighting for like 3-4%, we're never going to be able to shift the needle. Well, things are happening on, people being found at scenes of arrest and calling South Africans a K-word and that kind of thing, which goes to show that populist politics cynically abused by people who should not be in positions of political leadership to begin with is dangerous, right? And so it's important that we get over ourselves as political parties, work together, one. Secondly, get over ourselves and realize that people with as much or even bigger talent than we do, and we are seized with that work at the same time.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Joburg since you took us there, and obviously that's the primary function of today's discussion. We have, out of the 257 municipalities, 41 received clean audits in the 2024-25 financial year. There's people go for weeks and days without water and electricity. You see businesses closing down, and this is in a context where we're growing at 0.something% year on year, trying to build a developmental economy, trying to turn the state around, but ultimately we are confronted with broad-scale collapse and failure. Just give me a little bit of a diagnosis of the state of municipalities from your perspective in Scopa, obviously working really, really closely with the Auditor General, and the kind of diagnostic perspective that you see around municipalities, and just a perspective on the true state of where we are.
So the agency that does the diagnostics generally for us as the committee is the Auditor General. We are the Auditor General, and this is why next year's election is important, and we can talk about that at a later point. But let me make this point. The quality of political leadership is a problem. Because people who don't understand the system they're overseeing politically hire a municipal manager who should not be a municipal manager. That person hires a CFO who should not be a CFO and can't even put together financial statements properly. That CFO hires consultants to put together financial statements and so on, who can't even do the job because they don't know what a good consultant looks like. And it goes on and on and on. There is no municipal engineer and that kind of thing. So that's the first thing. So the first thing that's important is that voters need to be as stringent with political choices as they are with who is the strict anymore. It's like, we know Tumi is a crook, but hey, no, that can't continue anymore. South Africans need to be as strict as they are with Chiefs, my club, which makes me unhappy, except with netball. So that's the first thing.
Sure.
The second thing, to me, it teaches you that all of these ideological fantasies that people have ultimately mean nothing if you don't have people who are capable. Listen, there's no communist or socialist or revolutionary way of doing a clean audit. You must know where your assets are. You must use money efficiently. You must collect rates. You must areas that are going to have an impact on South Africans. And that's what we've done. The pity is that I can't say the same about Municipal Public Accounts Committee.
Specifically in the city of Johannesburg, be looking for in a political vehicle to turn the city around?
A couple of things. The first is that the willingness to radically transform administratively the city of Johannesburg. Do you know what I believe, to me? No, you actually don't need the Johannesburg Roads Agency. You don't need pick it up. You don't need these layers of complexity. Right? Let's find a way of transitioning them onto the municipal. Get rid of all of that complexity. You can have an executive director for sanitation, executive director for this and that, with a team of capable people just to clean the damn streets of Johannesburg.